Rebecca is a breathwork extraordinaire. I mean, she's a breathwork teacher and she is incredible at what she does. She's really been a conduit for transformation and self-love through what she teaches through her breathwork. And she's also the owner of RK Fit and the creator of Booty Slide. So she's been in the fitness industry as a very successful, highly sought after celebrity fitness trainer, wellness expert for the last 25 years. And now she is a breathwork coach. She's been featured on the Today Show, Extra, in Daily Candy, Vogue magazine, Men's Health, and many, many others. Rebecca's mission is to help her clients become the boss of their own happy and healthy, one breath, one rep at a time. I'm so excited for you to meet her today, and make sure to stay till the end because we actually are going to be doing a little mini breathwork session at the very end of the episode. So stay tuned. Rebecca, I am so excited to finally be doing this episode with you. I know we've gone back and forth for a while now, and I've just got to say, I'm so grateful that we're doing it now. Aren't you? Like, the timing is so divine.
I so agree with that. And it's true. I mean, we've been going back and forth for a couple of months and, you know, we couldn't have found a better time to be connecting. So yeah, I'm grateful as well. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So I'd love to just dive in because I'm going to be honest. I just recently was introduced to breath work. I've only had 2 sessions of breath work. The first session felt pretty uncomfortable for me. And then the second session was actually really powerful. I ended up crying and went a place that I didn't expect to go. So I just love to start off with that. For our listeners who aren't familiar with breathwork and the benefits of breathwork, can you go over what breathwork is and what the core benefits of it are?
Sure, absolutely. And yes, what you just described with your experience is what happens for most people. The first time can be really weird and out of sorts, and the second time is when something big happens. So that's completely normal. I just want to let you know that. But so breathwork is this really beautiful, magical practice that, you know, look, it's been around thousands of years and, you know, started with, you know, yogis and meditation and monks and many different disciplines were using it for centering and connecting to their heart and spirit, and thousands of years ago before it was ever brought over to the West. And so now that it has been here for the last, I don't know, maybe 40 years, maybe 50 years, in the 60s, I think it, you know, there's a few different people that are quoted for bringing it over to the West. But now that it's been here and has evolved over years, not only is it a practice that is obviously used and associated with yoga, pranayama, and pranayamic breathing, and associated with calming and de-stressing, but there's also this type, which I'm assuming it may have been the type you did, which is called conscious circular breath work, which is an iteration of the main style of breath work, which is simply just breathing in and out through the nose and calming yourself down, sometimes adding a breath hold for a very few seconds. And so that's one of the main ways that the breath was introduced. And then there's all these offshoots of the umbrella of breath work. And one area, the area I focus in, I mean, I can speak to others and we'll get into those, but the main area that I focus on is called the conscious circular breath. And what that is a 3-part breath pattern, typically all done through the mouth. It's a cycle of breathing. So it's a belly breath, a heart breath, and then a soft, gentle exhale, but all through the mouth, which is different than when we assume we breathe. We take in breaths in and out through the nose, sometimes for meditation, sometimes in the nose, out the mouth. But this style was, I guess it came to notoriety the most common person that you'd be familiar with hearing the term is holotropic breath work. And so some people are familiar with that style. You might have heard of rebirthing, which is another style using in and out through the mouth. And then the most current and recent and probably the most famous is Wim Hof, the Wim Hof method. And
that was the first one that I did.
Exactly. And I should have started with that. But the reason why I started with the others is because I believe they've been around a few years longer than Wim Hof, although he's now the most well-known and most popularized. He's done a lot of very famous scientific studies where he's proven, you know, how to strengthen the immune system and do feats like climbing Everest in shorts or going on these crazy adventures, all, using the breath and cold therapy, which he also is known for. But so this style of breath, and the reason I alluded to those other ones is because people will confuse them all, but they each have their own, I guess, rhythm and style. But the one that I'm the most comfortable with because of the effects it's had on me personally is that 3-part open mouth breath, which is just called conscious circular. And the empowering things that it offers are unbelievable. I mean, like you said, you had that release, the tears, right? So there's this beautiful emotional release that comes with breath work, typically in these styles that are a little more intense. When we do meditation and we do the breathing in and out through the nose, it's beautiful and calming, and certainly so appropriate during times of stress like what we've all been in right now for the last few months with COVID, and now the crazy stuff with the protesting and all the changes that need to take place in the world. And so calming ourselves down through gentle breathing is beautiful. But when you want to go an extra layer, another level, this conscious circular breathing just seems to be what I call a direct hit to the heart and to the emotions and to the trauma and to the pain and to fears. And so that's mostly why I love teaching it, is because I was always someone who was searching for a way to go deeper, to go underneath all of the masks and the walls and the layers, and even all the work I had done over my life of being an adult, like 20 years, exploring anger work and journaling and, taking myself out in nature to find myself, only to find I was really still lost even when I thought I found what I was looking for. This breath was the first thing that was like peeling away the layers, tearing down the walls, cracking, we call it in this industry, you say you got cracked open. And so for me, this practice was a way to crack myself open. And then when I found this discovery, I was like, I need to share this with more people, because I was already working with, I've been in the fitness and wellness industry for 25 years, but I was already doing that kind of work, helping people feel better and, feel empowered in their body with their health and fitness. But I wanted to go deeper. And so this breath has the power to do that. And so, ask me any other questions about it, but in a nutshell, I just say this: it's a direct hit to your heart.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love that. And actually, I didn't know that that's what it was called, but I did it. I learned it slightly differently, doing it through the nose, not through the mouth. So I'm excited to try it through the mouth, because I've been doing it, like you said, belly breath, heart, and then a soft exhale, but it's all been, it's the inhale was through the nose and the exhale was through the mouth. So that's what I was doing. And I had been doing, especially when I meditate in the morning, I usually start out to get me into that space. I'll breathe and get myself present.
Yes.
The Wim Hof for me, and by the way, for those of you listening, we would love to hear from you. Like, if you've tried any of these breathwork modalities, which one has been your favorite, what your experience has been, like screenshot this, tag us, put it on your story. We'd love to, create that dialogue with you and hear from you. When I did Wim Hof, I'm going to just be completely blunt here. I did it in Bali.
Yeah.
And I'd heard of it prior. And so we did it at this beautiful retreat center in Bali. And I was laying outside and we were doing it. And it was intense. Like, it was super intense. It actually, like, I felt pain in my back and my especially my back. Like, I was feeling lots of pain in my back throughout. And then, I kid you not, the very next day, I got so sick, like out of nowhere, just like for like 4 days, I was like bedridden. And I rarely, my immune system is really good. Like, I rarely ever get anything, especially to that extreme. And so, and this was about, I want to say, this was probably like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And so that was my experience.
Right.
I'd love to hear from you, your thoughts on Wim Hof, but for me, I love the conscious, what you said, the three, what do you
Yeah.
call it? Three
Conscious circular breathing. It's
conscious
called a
circular breathing.
3-part open mouth breath as well. And
Yeah.
I'll invite you, I'll send you some info of how to join me for my class that I do every Sunday at 6, that you can come. Please come. It's
That'd be
a class
awesome.
I do on Zoom, and it's beautiful. It's a really great community. But so to speak to the Wim Hof, look, there's so much beautiful science around the benefits of it, and so many people have shifted and changed their life and strengthened their immune system and overcome fears and anxieties and lack of confidence, and there's so many benefits, and I love it, and I'm a huge fan of it, and him as well. His story is unbelievable, like how he even discovered and got onto this breathing. So I'm a huge fan of Wim Hof. But that being said, here's what I'll say about it. Sometimes a breath style where there's a counting involved, or there's a timer involved, or where there's things you have to do with the conscious mind while you're trying to get out of your let go and not think, can be, in my opinion, can take us out of the experience. So for me, and why I love it, and I will use it as a health empowering tool.
Yeah.
For me, it isn't, and I've done it, it isn't the style that I like for clearing myself out emotionally.
Yeah.
That being said,
Makes
it's a
sense.
great tool for the health and immune system, and increasing confidence and building empowerment and all of those things. It's great. But what I get caught up and stuck on with it is that you have to do 30 to 40 breaths. Then you have to do a breath hold, and he encourages using a timer and holding for X amount of minutes. Now, obviously, a minute or a minute and a half, you could modify this, not do it, not count it. You could hold your breath only as long as you could. But so that's why I personally didn't get excited about doing it as something to teach. I'll certainly try it. I'll use it in my own, tool belt, if you will, of things that I enjoy and think are great. But I didn't want to teach it as a modality because I don't want to get stuck on people having to count or remember what rep they're on or cycle they're on, or
You
how
know,
long they have to hold the breath. Yeah.
yeah, that's really interesting you say that. And thank you for, like, that painted such a clear picture for me, because it really is different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
I'm an analyzer. So by default,
Mm.
I have, like, my continuous growth is dropping from head to heart, right?
Mm.
So when you said that, I was like, ding,
Yeah.
it made sense, because for me, that's what that conscious breath work does, is
Right.
it actually allows me to drop from head to heart. And I
Yes.
did, now that you say that, I'm like, whoa, I do remember being super in my head
Yeah.
during Wim Hof. Cause I was like, I'm already like over analyzing. So I'm like counting. I'm like, wait, I didn't hold oh shoot, I breathed out too early. And I'm just in my head the whole time. And it took away from the experience for me, and kind of, actually, to be honest, was causing me to feel a little bit stressed, because I
Yeah.
felt like I was doing it, quote unquote, like wrong,
Right. Right.
which
So,
again is my work in general. But I
right.
will say that I will say that I love the difference for me. Now,
Mhm.
maybe someone listening, I'm going to actually do this. I'm going to put some resources in, my team is going to
Yes.
put resources for you in the show
Yes.
notes, so that you can learn more about each and try each
Yeah.
out and see. For
Yeah.
you might be
Look,
opposite to me.
yeah. Like, again, absolutely zero disrespect to Wim Hof. I love him. I love this modality. It's changing lives by the millions. I mean, there's a huge following of this practice, and it's beautiful for those people who it works for. But like you and for me personally, I need to get out of my head and get into my heart. And so that's one of the things. I love that you said that, because one of the directives that I give when I open in my class is, let this breath be a way for you to get out of your head and get into your heart. And that's the first thing I say when I'm walking through the instructions of how we do it and why we do what we do and what you might bump up against. And so I just invite people to let the breath lead you. And if emotions come up, let that be the thing you follow. Like, when I always say this too, like, people don't come to breath work to breathe. I believe that no one goes to breath. Now, that being said, if you have a condition and you're working on strengthening your lungs and your diaphragm, and you're breathing as a strengthening for the diaphragmatic lung system, all of that, that's different. But if you're coming to breath work to get out of your head and get into your heart, you're not coming to breathe. You're coming to connect back to yourself. And this breath work, like I said, I use this analogy too. Like, if you think of like all the modalities out there, like talk therapy, and again, no disrespect to talk therapy. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. I just feel like we need more sometimes than talking. Journaling, even sometimes meditation, because people got a monkey mind. You can't shut it off, right? So it's hard to meditate. So let's say we put talk therapy, journaling, meditation, walking in nature. Those are what I call lighter, soothing methods of working on yourself, but they work, but they don't go deep, deep, deep. And I think of those as like a garden hose, right? Garden hose to your heart. Think of breath work as a fire hose to your heart. So for me, I think of all those other modalities, they're gentle and they're smooth and they work, but they're like a garden hose, that steady stream to the heart. Do breath work, and it's like a fire hose, right? Powerful, direct connection. No, you will not miss the message if you're willing to try it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love, by the way, I love analogies.
Yeah.
So
I always
keep giving them to me. Keep giving them.
I will. Yeah. Because I love to come up with them, because I feel like one thing that happens, like you said, you had the second experience of breath work, and that was the one you cried in. The first one, not so much. You were like, what's this? And then the second one, you're like, oh, holy shit, what just happened? Right. Oops. Sorry. So I always like to come up with analogies so that my students or people that love it can go out and share it. But if you don't know how to explain it, it's weird. Breathe. You're teaching me to breathe and I'm going to have this big experience. Yeah, right. So I had to come up with ways to let people go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like a direct hit to your heart, a fire hose to your heart. There's other ones. I use some other ones, but they involve swear words, so I won't go there. But,
girl, you can say whatever you want. This is not.
Okay, well,
be free.
I'll do this other one. So there's this. I had a client who came to me one day, and she goes, she's a life coaching client, but she also does breath work with me. And she said, today I don't have much, Rebecca. My head feels like it's on. When your brain's all messed up, it feels like it's on channel KFUCK, right? And so I was like, sorry, I'm really sorry about that, but that's what she said. So like, if you think of like the call letters for a channel, a radio channel, right? She said, it's on KFUCK, right? And I said, whoa, freeze. What if we take this work and we make it flip to K-love, KLOVE or KJOY? And that's what breath work does. So it takes it from KF to KJOY. KLOVE. You've just tuned in, right? And so it can flip you that quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. Powerful. Right. Yeah, it is. Because when I do, and like I said, I'm very new to breath work, so I'm still, getting my bearings. But when I do it, I feel tapped and tuned in. Yeah. That is how I feel, and it is a really powerful way to shift your energy. Yes. If I'm feeling anxious, especially for me. So when I feel anxious, I literally will just stop and breathe. Yeah. And it just makes all the world a difference for me. And actually I was wondering, Rebecca, would you be willing to actually do a little like mini session on this episode?
Sure.
Guide the listeners through. Okay. Yes. Sure. So for those of you listening, stay till the end of the episode, because we're going to end the episode that way.
We'll do a little
good.
And so what we might do, beautiful. I'd love that. What I think I might do though, is just a gentle breath. So an inhale and an exhale, like a 4-count inhale and a 4-count exhale, with some words that I'll say coaching through the breath. Because I feel like the 3-part breath needs a little more instruction, and it also, you have to have an empty stomach. There's a lot of wouldn't want to go and do it if you have these certain issues. So I'd save that for a separate episode, or we can invite people to come join us on a Zoom, for a Zoom class for that. But let's do that. We'll do the
cool. And so the 4-part one, does that one have a name or?
Yes. So this breath I'm referring to, there's a couple of them. There's just a simple 4-count, 4x4 it's called, or box breathing, which is a 4-count inhale through the nose, a hold for 4, a gentle exhale out the mouth for 4, and then another hold for 4. So it's 4, 4, 4, 4, creating what they call a box breathing. But it's also referred to as 4x4 or square breathing. And that's a very good one for just grounding and connecting you back and getting you out of anxiety, like you were referring to. Another great one, this is also good for sleep as well as de-stressing. It's called 478. Again, now this one, like what I said earlier, is kind of counterintuitive to what I said earlier about, like, I don't like to do breaths where you have to count and pay attention to numbers. But what's beautiful about breath work is you can use it, we can manipulate it voluntarily, right? All day long we're breathing involuntarily because it's an involuntary practice. But when we decide that we want to voluntarily manipulate the breath by doing it in certain patterns and with tempos and by counting, we then can ask for a desired outcome. So a 478, yes, I will use a counting breath on purpose there because my desired outcome is to de-stress, is to get to sleep, is to get out of my way so I can think a little clearer. But when I want to do, like I said, that clearing out of emotional or past trauma, or getting rid of fear or empowering myself, then I want to do the conscious circular breathing because I don't want to think really. I just want to get out of my head and into my heart. Right. So that's why so to be clear, breath work is not only different styles, right? Like you've got Wim Hof, rebirthing, holotropic, conscious circular. You've also got breath exercises, 478, box breathing, alternate nose breathing, Butoiko, which is for people who have asthma. It's been proven to help shift people who struggle with their asthma. So there's many different styles, and you can manipulate the style, the breath, to give you a desired outcome.
Wow. I didn't realize there were really so many.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, cool. So I have a question.
Yeah.
What would you say is the most profound breathwork experience you've either had yourself or you've witnessed in someone else? And it can be, I'm sure you have probably a few, but maybe just one that comes to mind for you off the top of your head.
So many. Wow. Well, the beautiful thing for me is, I'll give you the profound one, but I want to just start with this. The beautiful thing for me is that I have people send me emails and texts and DMs and tell me after live classes before COVID, like things like they were able to say goodbye to their great grandmother or their grandmother or their father, or forgive their mother that they harbored feelings for 20 years against. They were able to forgive themselves for stuff they had done to themselves for years. And so the amazing things that people tell me, just the general things like forgiveness, letting go of anger, letting go of resentments, finally loving themselves and realizing their life's calling. I've had people go, oh my God, I just realized why I'm on this planet and now I'm going to go do it. And then write me a year later and go, thank you. You're the reason why not me, but breath work. And I'm a conduit of it. I always be careful about when people say, oh, you healed me, you fixed me. I'm not, I didn't heal anybody. All I did was said, hey, here, I have this really cool idea, this really cool way for you to connect back to you. Will you try it? And let me guide you. I'm not the one, it's them doing the work, right? So I'm really careful about that when they try to elevate me to this level. But when I hear back from them time later, and they say, I'm still doing that thing that because of that breath work with you, I'm able to, live my life fully. So that's the most amazing thing. But now weird and crazy experiences I've heard one girl, she said she went on this journey in the Amazon where she was chasing someone with a purple heart sword and chasing this dragon, and they had a fight on the ground and she won. I mean, like this whole crazy out of body experience. And she was like floating above and watching this. So, I mean, people really go crazy places with the breath work. Almost some people have claimed that they go to similar places as when they do ayahuasca or any of those, mood altering things that people are on this trend of right now, trying. Yeah. And so it's been really interesting to hear some of that feedback. And what I always say to people who feel called to try, and again, no judging, no dissing of ayahuasca or any of that, or, low dosing, what is it called? Micro dosing mushrooms. I'm not opposed to anything that people want to try. Cause like we said, different strokes for different folks. But I always say, if you're looking to connect to yourself and have this awakening of sorts, I say start with what's right under your nose. Start with what's right there, already available to you. It's free. You don't have to fly to Peru or Brazil or wherever they're doing these things, and you don't have to trip for 9 hours. And by the way, you can't get off those rides once you're on, right? You got to wait the full 9 hours.
True.
You want off with breathwork. If you want off the ride, just close your mouth and change the breath pattern and get off for a minute. But you can't.
And actually, I want to add, I've actually heard, I haven't had this experience, but I have heard that through breath work, people have had psychedelic experiences, like out of body experiences from the breath. Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at, is that they'll claim, and I haven't personally, but people have said that. And so my feeling is, gosh, if you can get there with the breath, why would you do anything else? Why would you mess with anything else? So for me, I'm just a huge fan of doing what's already available to us, and, quite honestly, breath is life. Breath is spirit. Breath is the very first. We start with one breath and we end with one breath, right? So two most important breaths of our life, the first and the last. And I always say, let's work on all the breaths in between, right? Those matter. So
beautiful.
For me, I just feel like, I don't know. There's so many benefits to it. Obviously, you can tell I'm a little bit passionate about it.
Yeah. Well, very. Yeah. What about, so what have you witnessed a particular experience or had one that was like super memorable for you?
Well, my very first one was so memorable in that, I was in the middle of a really gut-wrenching breakup. It was toxic. I was, trying to still stay focused on my work. And, I work with people every day. At the time I was leading group fitness classes and working one-on-one with training clients and doing, my own podcast. And so there's things I have to show up every day. You have to have your energy up. You don't get to show up, and show, have your heart on your sleeve or be a mess. You got to show up for your people. And so I was finding it really hard to do my work, and someone said, go try breath work. And I'm always open. And I said, okay, sure, I'll do it. And so by the way, I wanted to get out of this relationship, but I was feeling that I just wasn't happy with how it was unraveling. And so I wanted it to have more integrity and end on a better note for both of us, even though I chose to end it. So feeling like a lot of heart tugging during that time, when I went to the breath work, finally in that first session, I was able to let go of some of the toxicity of that relationship and land in a loving space and understand how I needed to let go and how to hold space for that person while they did what they needed to do. And so it was a huge release for me. And it was like probably the biggest release I'd had around all of the healing that I'd needed to do on a lot of levels, not just with that relationship, but from past mom issues and my own struggle with addictions that I had when I was in my 20s that I overcame and never really forgave myself for. So there's a lot that came up for me in that first session. And it was just beautiful. I went home and I knew I wanted to teach it. I was like, okay, first I'm going to do my own work for a lot of time, a couple of months, keep going and clearing and doing my work. And then I studied it and decided to be a teacher. Yeah.
Well, and I want to say you're talking about all these people like reaching out to you and they're like, you've transformed my life, and you were like, well, I didn't, the breathwork did. I will say though, and I want to just like really like, you own the fact that without you having shown up the way that you have for these people and choosing to step into your power and like be a light worker for people, those people wouldn't have had that breakthrough per se, and so that is, and I just want to say that too for people listening, I'm sure there's light workers listening, that have their own modalities, and it's like, this is what we need is people like you stepping into the light and helping others, that like the way that you teach breath work may not, or may land for a person where another, like if they tried another teacher or modality, it wouldn't have landed. So
thank you for that. Thank you. I feel you on that. And yes, I can own that. Like, it's always been hard for me to like take in compliments, but I hear you on that and I can own that. And I can, I do know that I have some gifts in this work. And so I own that, but I also am very careful to make sure that I also let people honor and respect the work that they do, to show up and to get out of their way and to say yes to the work. Right. And then I just happen to be the right teacher for them. So that's the win. Right. Yeah. Thank you for that.
I love that. Well, I'm going to link your stuff. Like, for those of you listening who are interested in checking out Rebecca's work and potentially taking one of her classes. I'm sure you're doing a bunch. Well, yeah, you said you're doing virtual classes now. So I'll put all that information in the links below. And I would love, unless there's anything else that you're like dying to share or say.
No, I mean, if anyone's interested in learning, how about this last little thing about this business, this work? If anyone's interested in learning more about breathwork, you've done it and you're listening, you're like, I know what she's talking about. I love that. And I would love to do this. I also started recently, about a year ago, my own teacher training program, so that if anyone's listening and they want to explore this work because they see how it's changed their own life or people in their life, or they want to be a part of a global shift in helping people connect back to themselves. I do a teacher training certification, so we'll have some info below on that. But I say that because for me, this is the biggest gift I gave myself, was to learn this work. And in 4 years, it's given me more gifts and moments of gratitude and purpose than I hate to say this because I love my career, but 25 years of personal training, massage therapy, and all the work I had done prior was beautiful. But this work took it to another level. Because when you touch someone from the inside out, like from their heart out, there's no better way great to give someone 6-pack abs and get someone to have great biceps and walk a flight of stairs without keeling over. That's great. But it's a different kind of love that they'll give you back when you connect them to their heart and you have them finally wake up to themselves. So my point, I guess, is that this work has been transformational for me as a human being. And I love sharing this gift with anyone who wants to learn how to do it. So there's that.
Awesome. The gift that keeps giving. And you are a gift. And I'm so happy that everyone listening and watching has been able to experience you in this episode.
Thank you.
And receive the gift that you're about to give in doing this breath work together. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to actually sit here and do it with you guys. So
okay, beautiful. So the first thing is, if you're seated, make sure maybe you have your feet on the floor so you're grounded, or if you're on the floor, maybe if you want to jump on the floor and just either lie down or sit up tall from your spine and have your feet comfortably in front of you. I never enforce like you must cross your legs. Do what's comfortable for you. And so the first thing we're going to do is closing the eyes softly and gently, taking in a big, deep, full breath into the nose and opening up the mouth, letting it go. And as you let that breath go, feel your whole body start to drop, start to melt, start to soften. And so let's do that again. We're not going to get caught up yet in any counting. Let's just do another big, deep, full inhale into the nose. Gently open the mouth. Exhale, let it go. And as you do that on your own a couple more times, I'm going to just say a few things. I want you to just keep breathing fluid into the nose and out the mouth in your own rhythm and your own pace. And I want you to just feel your body start to let go on every exhale. On every inhale, breathing in deep, full, and complete. And as you exhale, audible sigh, let some energies, let some stress, let some heavy go. And letting your shoulders soften, letting your arms start to soften and your fingertips maybe wiggle a little bit just to let go of any stress. You might have been holding them tightly. Let them go. Soften everything. Soften your eyes. Soften your face. Even your lips. Let everything just become fluid. And as you connect to the breath on the inhale, breathing in some sweet energy for yourself. So on the inhale might sound something like, I am healthy and whole. And on the exhale it might sound something like, I release fear and anxiety. And on the inhale, I am vibrant and empowered. And on the exhale, I release scarcity and confusion. So as you start to breathe on your own, I'm going to just be here holding space and keeping a rhythm for you. Breathe in a few powerful affirmations. And exhale some letting go, surrendering. And let every inhale be you filling yourself back up. And every exhale, you freeing the space. Inhale, self-love. Exhale, fear. So breathing in deeper and fuller, surrendering with an audible sigh, letting go. Do that for a few more cycles of breath, breathing in everything you need and releasing all the heavy. And on these last few breaths, what if you could ask your heart a question? Like, dear heart, sweet heart, what do you need more of to wake up? And as you exhale, let the answer flow out. On the inhale, sweet, dear heart, what can I give you more of? And on the exhale, listen for the answer. And ask any other questions through the breath on your own. Be gentle and listen. And then together, taking one big deep inhale, we're going to hold it at the top for 4. Holding 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. And let it go. And then whenever you're ready, open your eyes, start to come back to the space. And just be.
Wow.
See how you feel.
Yeah, what came up for me, and I'd love to hear from you guys too, those of you who did that exercise or that breath work. For me, it was compassion. So when you said, I loved that when you said, dear heart, and then that first one, the first time you said it, I didn't hear anything.
Yeah.
And then the second time it was like clear, like super clear. And like,
Love
I don't want
that.
to say loud, but just like I felt it, and it was compassion.
I love
So
it. That's beautiful.
exactly what I need right now. So thank you for that.
Beautiful, good. And that's just a very a mini introduction to some ways to use the breath. Like you can do that to yourself at home. Like take yourself through some empowering affirmations to breathe into, and then exhaling all of the heavy. Call it the heavy, like all that stuck energy. And you can then ask some beautiful questions and then listen for the answer. It doesn't have to be this whole intense, 3-part breath, lying down for 30 minutes. It can be very gentle. And just a few minutes of grounding. I'm just from even teaching that, I get very sometimes lightheaded and woozy myself just from like doing a few of those breaths with you guys, because and I get calmer and I get more connected. And so it's just a beautiful way. And would that take us? Maybe we were there for 5 minutes. I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. You know, what a sweet way, what a sweet gift to give yourself every morning or in the afternoon or before bed. And so
Add it to your morning ritual, guys. They know I'm always talking about my morning ritual. I post it every morning on my story. And so what a beautiful thing. Even just 5 minutes, see what happens. I love the asking a question as you're breathing in and like just, and being completely detached. Just like if an answer comes, like just hearing it and just the gentleness of that is so beautiful. And for me, exactly what I need. Right. So that was So beautiful. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Rebecca. You're
My pleasure.
amazing.
My pleasure. So grateful to be here with you. I'm so glad we connected finally, sweetheart.
Yes, me too. And I am, you guys, I'm doing it. I'm going to take one of her classes, whether
Yes.
it's in person in LA, because I
Yeah.
go to LA
Yeah.
frequently. So
Okay,
whether it's in
good.
person in LA
Yeah.
or on Zoom, girl, I'm doing it. I'm
Awesome.
doing it.
Can't wait to have you. Can't wait to have you, sweetheart.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your light with us and your work with us and your heart with us. I so appreciate you. And I'm just like, I'm so excited that we had this episode, and the timing of it is just so perfect. So thank you for coming on,
Thank you,
Rebecca.
sweetheart. Love you. Love you. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.